man. 2023 NBA draft is wrapped up. Obviously, Wemby went number one. We all expected that. You got scooters out there in Portland. Look at Brandon Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that kind of, because even though we expect Wemby to be that guy and everything, like, talk about a little bit of what that means for San Antonio from your opinion. I definitely want to have this conversation with you about, like, Wemby to San Antonio, especially like right now.
I mean, with Wemby, man, is he's continuing a clear as cut, lineage for as far as what Popovich and the Spurs have been able to do with foreign players, specifically French players. So I always tell people, sometimes when it comes to rookies, it's not about, being, obviously you have to be good, right? It's the NBA, but at the same time, opportunity is everything. We've had guys who we've seen, high school, college, and not be that good, but be presented an opportunity to where they fit the best.
Right.
And I think that, it was a match made in heaven for Wemby to fall into San Antonio's arms, because, he's gonna be the face of the franchise, obviously, and everything is gonna be built around him. And I think that if it's anybody that could bring it out of him, it's Popovich.
Yeah.
Personally, like I said before, I think that they're going a little bit too far, with the generational stuff and best prospects since Braun, because then you said and that's nothing, that has nothing to do with Wemby and his ability
at all.
I'm talking about the people who speak about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to realize that it's okay. Like we spoke about before, we seen somebody says if he has a career like AD,
Hakeem Olajuwon, specifically.
Hakeem Olajuwon, how can NBA champions and Hall of Fame players be failures? So at the end of the day, these are unrealistic expectations they have from. But you know what I mean? So, like,
no. Real quick. Imagine somebody said, imagine if you started hustling on your block, right?
Right.
And they said, yo, if he turned into like Bill Gates or somebody like like bread wise, that's like a disappointment in me, really.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I just don't understand. I get why people say the NBA media is cooked, because they only tune into it from certain places.
So that goes to my point, right? Like, you go on to two extremes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how do you go to he's going to be the best thing smoking since sliced bread to if he has a career like Hakeem Olajuwon, the fucking dream that he failed?
Kevin Durant, bro.
Durant, AD,
like, bro, listen.
What are we talking about here?
Listen, like, and the older I get, and I know the older we got children now and stuff like that, right. So I know our perspectives on things change. But the thing about it is, like, bro, when you really look at LeBron James, it's so disrespectful to even compare a prospect to him, because life was different when LeBron James was.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Chingy and Nelly and niggas like that was out when LeBron James was the man, like the flip phone, Sprint phone.
That ass.
Nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, video games on Sprint phones was a real thing back in the day, when it was like, you see how that game, you see how checkers look, you see how bowling look on a Sprint, and now we talking about we can FaceTime and do all this type of other shit right now. Right. He's still LeBron James. So when you talk about being, that's why I say talk about like best and greatest, right? Like, best speaks to skill set and stuff like that, but greatness speaks to sometimes shit you can't duplicate because times is different now. Right. You can't the same way you can't be Mike, you can't be LeBron no more. It's not the same.
And that also goes to your point of longevity.
Yeah.
Because that's that all of that ties in. When you talk about a prospect being a generational talent, they have to be able to do shit like that for a very long time.
Yes.
And
consistently.
You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about a 38-year-old.
We're talking about a nigga who just broke Kareem's record for points, bro.
Like this, we're talking about a record that we never thought would have been done. And he did it at a very, very, golden age, I should say. You know what I mean? In terms of sports, we're talking about a 20-year player who, not only that, we talk about Tom, you talk about somebody who was in the finals like every year. So his body, the wariness, all of that shit, for him to keep doing that and at this age to be like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
It's a testament to his greatness. So when you put people in that seat and then, if they fall short of that, you shit on them. Like, I should never be shitting on somebody who averages 20 points.
Ever.
You know what I'm saying?
In life, bro.
And he's a kid. That's another thing. You know what I mean? He's a real life kid. Yeah. They got to be fair in that regard. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that he fell into the right hands with San Antonio. I do think that they're going to have a great youth movement. You know what I mean, with the rest of that roster with Trey Jones, you know what I mean, with the kid from Notre Dame, pardon me, I'm forgetting his name right now. You know, with Jeremy Sohan, they have a very nice team, and I think that he can definitely prosper there. It's going to be a work in progress for him, definitely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hate to sound corny, but he definitely needs to put on weight.
I think that's gonna happen naturally. Just being in America, the food is different. Like it's over.
Yeah, he's
the food is way different, bro.
I mean, he might check out the pond, but they be canoeing that through the joint. You know
you feel me? Yeah, like I know 100%. So we talked about Wemby. Brandon Miller obviously went to the Hornets. I thought that his pre-draft stuff was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty good. I think a lot of people kind of maybe took it the wrong way when they was like, "Oh, he getting that mic," and it's like, nah, like that's the kind of being around Michael Jordan. That's good for you. Like you're supposed to have that kind of shit. Like you have to kind of speak like that. You know what I'm talking about? Was he was like, "Yeah, I saw him airball a free throw. That's just him being old." Like I think that more than anything probably made Mike be like, "Yeah, shit,
I like this kid." Yeah,
come through. It's the same thing like Matt Barnes did this shit with Kobe with the ball fake, and Kobe was like, "Yo, if you crazy enough to fuck with me, you crazy enough to play with me." Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it is what it is. So I like that. So let's talk about Brandon Miller and how he fits in Charlotte moving forward.
Like a glove. How you see? Like a glove.
Yeah,
like a glove, man. I mean, like, you know, Charlotte is definitely looking to take a turning point. And I think with B Miller is something that they haven't had yet. And, you know, with Miles Bridges coming back, which a lot of people aren't mentioning again, you know, the young boy Mitchell from Duke, he seems to be finding his way as a center.
Yeah.
And then you add on, you know, obviously LaMelo is LaMelo.
Yeah. No, and he's legit. Before we go any further, let me say that because I think when Melo came into the league, it was kind of like, oh, here we go again. Here go another ball. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like it was a little. People thought it was like gimmicky a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like he was more charisma and personality than actual game. But that kid is the truth. No, he's good.
And he got better over time. And what I like is that he started to take ball more seriously as he progressed in age. You know, he stepped away from all the nonsense and he actually went somewhere where he was able to show people. And then with him also freaking growing to be 6'7", you know what I mean? Like that definitely helped his case.
You know, 1,000%. A lot of niggas that woke up 6'7" tomorrow will be a whole different dude.
Like I don't understand how you wake. Like homie that got drafted yesterday, Wemby teammate, he grew a foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bilal. So it's like shit like that is rare that happens. And with LaMelo, you know, I think
you kiss with your feet.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think he fell victim to a lot of the shit. You know what I mean? With you know his pops and you know all the stuff they had going on.
100%.
Definitely had their opinions on the big homie, the big baller. So it's like you know people had their opinions on LaMelo and it was unfair. And the kid is really good. So with him, I think when he got somebody like Brandon Miller, who's 6'8". Like he said it as his GOAT, and I see why he's a Paul George clone.
Yeah, like, no, 100%.
And they really haven't had that in Charlotte because obviously LaMelo can pass the ball, but it's a difference to if I give you the ball, what you gonna do with it. You know what I mean? And
they haven't had somebody like that since like Gerald Wallace, bro.
And that's crazy because
let's be 100 because that was a minute ago.
Yo, and
Gerald Wallace was like that. Like, let's not play like it's a joke. Like Gerald Wallace was like that.
Facts. And he had mad cigarettes in his pocket on the bench.
Yeah, he was all right. Nah, dead ass though. Like he definitely seemed like the type of player that like you say something to him and he start patting his pocket like he got a lighter on him. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
knowing he don't got pockets.
Tight, like damn, you ain't got one. Damn, left my shit.
You feel me? Yeah. Time out, yo, coach. Time out real quick. I gotta go hit it. You know what I mean? Newport short in the box and all that.
Nah, for real. But B Miller, he definitely has Paul George potential.
Yeah.
I see a little bit of Tatum in him just off the height alone. But
for sure.
All of them are like 6'10" wing players that can ball with ease. So it's gonna be dope. I think that like I said, it fits like a glove because you need that go-to player when shit is not going right. Even with Terry there, I mean, he doesn't have a great game all the time. LaMelo has every great game every time.
Yeah.
So B Miller now, where it's just that easier to where it's like he can score when he wants. We need a go-to bucket, give it to him. So I think he fits like a glove in Charlotte for
100%. But before we move on to the third pick, Scoot Henderson, who's probably my favorite player in the draft, I just want to say this about Brandon Miller. I do think that he's one of the guys, like you said, not to sound corny, because I hate using like the stereotypical, you know what I'm saying? Oh, he's an NBA ready guy. He's really a guy that's like, just go get him. He's gonna be a bucket. Like regardless whether you start him, bring him off the bench. However you see it, it's certain things about his footwork that I like, that I've seen, that I've watched over the course of like, him being in college, where it's certain places he can get to. And if he can continue to work on his game and get to those same spaces in the NBA, because all it really comes down to in the NBA, everybody's fast as you or faster.
Absolutely.
But everybody knows the game. So it's like once I see him around January, February, I'm gonna know what type of dude he is, because like that's usually when that rookie wall comes, because it's that amount of games, it's within that amount of time, it's that physicality of it all and that. But I do think he's gonna be all right. I like him a lot. Scoot Henderson. Let me say this about Scoot. Scoot is one of my favorite prospects in the NBA draft in a very, very long time. Like he's somebody who, when I saw him, I was looking at Wemby like, yeah, he's good, but this Scoot dude,
different.
This is a guy who, if he's on my team, I'm gonna be irrationally confident about our chances to win any game. Do you feel the same way about him?
Absolutely. It's crazy because I just was talking to my brother about this, and I was like, you just can't teach that shit that he has, bro. You know what I mean? He's a dog. You know what I mean? Like they put the X-ray joint on him, the Rottweiler come out on the chest.
Like Rottweiler.
He's tough, and you can't teach toughness. And as long as you got somebody that's tough and not scared of who they're going against,
you can't teach them to give a fuck, bro. You can't.
You know what I mean? If he had a pocket full of fucks, he wouldn't give one. So, just keeping it a stack. So when
I ain't got it, OG.
Whether damn near or not,
if I had your hands, I'd cut mine off, OG.
You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, so with damn near or not, he's going to be something special, man, because the nigga he's built like a fucking linebacker for one. And he like that. It's crazy, yo. Like,
no, that's real, bro.
Like one of the niggas off the Express or something, B.
No, that's real. Nigga built like Carl Banks, man. Like, what's going on with him?
So like, and he's a kid still. You know what I mean? And he just has those tools of playing hard. He's tall, he's big. He kind of reminds me of Swiper, actually, just bigger.
You know who he remind me of, really? On some real shit, and maybe this is why he's one of my favorite players, because I gave a nigga 75 on a video game with him before, is Michael Finley, bro.
That's an interesting one. What made you go with that one?
Because the body, he's a solid dude. Like, he's a very solid dude, but when he play, he doesn't look like a stiff player. Like, a lot of guys, when you say you compare him to like football players, right, especially linebackers, those are like stocky dudes who are kind of, I'm good within this range, but if you get me outside of this range, I don't know. Yeah, but Michael Finley had a game where it's like, no, this is just a strong man who can play basketball like a very slender man. I feel like Scoot, and I'm not comparing their games, but I'm just comparing just like the way they move on the court and how they look. He's very Michael Finley-ish, where you look at him and you like, he might not be able to, you know what I'm saying?
That's tough.
Like I said, I just feel like maybe that's why I kind of like him a little bit more than I like any other prospect, because I fuck with Finley heavy.
But you also know what you see. You know,
100%. Like, yeah, 100%.
He's one of those people, like, not to be cliche. What you see is what you really get.
Yeah,
I mean, he's an ultimate competitor, fearless.
Yeah,
and like he's gonna walk onto a court immediately, and he's gonna look at the other guy across the court, no matter who it is. If it's an all-star guard, and feel like he's better than them.
And most nights, I'm not gonna lie, if he can dribble, he's gonna be right. I'm not gonna say too much about that, but we'll talk about that at a later date. But Rockets and the Pistons back-to-back draft the Thompson boys. You know what I'm saying? Double A, you heard? Shout out to them.
Your boys, man. The hometown had a good draft, man.
They listen. A lot of people have a misconception about me, right? They think that like I don't like the Pistons because I still support the city. The city. I'm born and raised in the city.
Absolutely.
I love the city forever.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And my pops, long live my pops. He's a Pistons fan. I know after this draft, he probably would have been calling me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
you know about them boys that we, we'd have been chopping it up. So I already know how they giving it up. Rockets and the Pistons are obviously two, franchises that are on the brink of like rebuilding and stuff like
absolutely.
that. Just tell me a little bit about what you see from their draft picks this year that will give you, if you were a Rockets and the Pistons fan, or if you're talking to them, if you're trying to talk them off the ledge and being like, hey, look, this is a good draft for your team, or these are good picks for your team. Tell me your perspective on these picks.
So for me, I feel like with in terms of Houston, let's start with them.
Yeah.
Specifically. So I always tell people in a sense, well, it's not even a sense in general, history repeats itself, right? So when you look at, specifically Ime Udoka now being the coach of Houston, what I'm seeing holes aside. You know what I'm saying? Like he's an excellent coach. And I also think that he has a template for how he builds, what I mean, in terms of what he needs, what he wants. And I think he was able to start that with Boston. And when you go into Houston picks and we talk about the first Thompson twin, which is I'm in, and you talk about Cam Whitmore, essentially you basically looking at two Jalen Browns. And I think since he knows what to do and what he had to do with Jalen Brown, he's going to apply that same thing, but then also combine that wing depth that he had of making them a tandem with Tatum, with Brown, and every other wings, even with Marcus, because Cam Whitmore can be a Marcus Smart just on a higher level in terms of his offensive ability. And then
I like that. I like that.
with the Thompson twin, you're getting Jalen Brown. He's explosive, quick off the step, because he's a playmaker in terms of being able to create for others and then also create for himself. He's 6'7", but he actually can run the one, so he gives you that little bit of interchangeable, in terms of the lineup. And then, putting next to Jabari and Alpha Shengun, Houston has with the cap space they have, Houston is actually on to something. If Ime could get them to buy in and,
Man.
get some vets there to discipline that locker room, Houston is on to something.
That shit
And
gonna be Dunk City, bro.
it's
Like
gonna be
them
nasty.
kids is they probably
They're
got the
athletic.
most athletic roster on the like on some real shit on paper. They might have the most athletic. I feel like everybody on their team could do a dunk from like NBA Live
Nah,
2005 on the first try.
it's definitely
Real
on.
shit.
They fake on Boom Shakalaka time, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what I mean. They got like I said, Shingun. He's special. I think that he's people are starting to realize it now. I think the more people see Houston play, they realize he's going to be one of the next best foreign centers. Jabari. Again, we talking about 18 and 19-year-olds. Give him some time, but he got better as the season progressed, as you can see, and he might be working his way to be an elite defender. Um, and he's not scared to guard the best player, which is crazy at his age, and being 6'10". And then, like I said, you bring in the Thompson twin, and Cam Whitmore, and you still got Jalen, you still got KPJ. Houston is on to something. And if they could get some vets there and use that cap space for some great players, I think Ime is going to build himself a nice young, playing team.
I like it. I'm not mad at that at all. I do want to point out this because I'm biased.
Mhm.
At number 11, we skipped down a little bit. The
Yeah, yeah.
Magic draft Jet Howard. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
From my dog, the Michigan legend himself, Jawan Howard.
facts.
Shout out to him. But what I really want to know is before we even get to like the Warriors getting
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
I think is the steal of the draft. I don't know how you feel about this. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
the steal of the draft.
What's
Um,
mm-hmm.
is there any other prospects between where we are right now and that Warriors pick that intrigue you a lot that you kind of want to, maybe even talk some fans off matter of fact, fuck it. Do you have a list or just something you can go to real quick of fan bases who may have looked at their draft picks that night and was like, maybe I'm not familiar with this, or maybe I don't like this, or how should I feel about this? If they're looking for some type
Mm.
of direction and they're like, damn, what fan bases are you talking to?
You talking about from now? You said from now until the
From
Warriors, right?
from yeah, so from right now until we get to that Warriors pick, which I think is just
So I actually had
it's a
somebody
steal, but
contact me, who's a Mavericks fan,
okay.
and they wanted to know about Derek Lively.
Okay.
Derek Lively, if given the situation, especially with him having Luka on his team, and given what else happens and who else they get in Dallas, you're looking at Tyson Chandler again.
Mhm.
And Derek Lively, I think he has a lot to prove because he did end his high school years as number one player in the country. When he got to Duke, he was a longer stack class. So, he didn't have the opportunity to necessarily shine and showcase abilities that people was able to see. So everybody just seen him as kind of like a rim runner,
Yeah.
which he can be, but his workouts was insane. His pre-draft workouts were insane. He showed that he could knock down a jumper. And again, we're talking about a 19-year-old. So the ability is there. And with Luka there and being able to throw those lobs to him, he's an elite shot blocker. He's a great defender. I think that Mavs fan got a stolen gem in Derek Lively, honestly. I think that Mavs fan could be very comfortable with having him.
I like that a lot because Mavs fans are a lot more vocal these days. I think obviously having Luka, they're one of those teams that are kind of I would say like expecting playoff success soon, especially with given their recent run in the playoffs. It's like they should.
Right.
What I feel like was my favorite part of the draft was the Warriors getting TJD. Oh my God. Listen to me, man.
Talk about it.
I like TJD a lot, bro. Just his feel for the game, his post work, just him attacking the rim, him being able to just get a basket, his attitude. I feel like it's one of those things that obviously he's going to be a rookie coming into the season, but I feel like Golden State can use that kind of shit because he's going to be a guy that's going to be battling for those minutes in practice. So when you see him starting some games, I don't want people to be surprised because that kid is the truth. The fact that he went that late and the fact that he went to Golden State, all of these teams in the league are trying to improve, and you passed up on him.
I agree, bro. You know what's crazy? It goes back to what I said earlier about opportunity, right? So with Trace, with TJD, and for everybody that needs to know, we talking about Trace Jackson Davis.
Yes.
Trace Jackson ended up in the best opportunity he possibly can end up in. Reason I say that is because with Golden State playing positionless ball, he doesn't, and Steve Kerr not being afraid to play positionless ball, he doesn't have to worry about being something that he's not. And I think that, and this is no shade at homie or none of that, but him being on Golden State takes him away from becoming John Collins.
No, that makes sense.
Because he's John Collins all the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of don't know where to play him, but Trace Jackson Davis, man, like
he's one of them.
He has an innate ability for shot blocking. He can post up. He's very aggressive. Athletic as hell. Like I said, he does remind me of John Collins,
bro.
But I think that he could do a little bit more. And then I think with him,
I think he got a little bit more of like he got less of a filter than like John Collins. John Collins will still play a little more of a suited up game, and Tracy just be like, "Yo, what the fuck is you doing? He can't go. All right, bet. Let me show you this." You know what I'm saying?
No, that's a fact, and that's what I like about him the most. Because he does play like I can kill anybody I want.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Which, and I think it's going to fit the mold of Golden State because, like I said, when they go positionless, that's the best thing you can do for him.
100%.
I mean, you don't put him in a bottle, and so with Golden State fans, they actually had even the other homie, Brandon, that was the other pick in the first round. I hate, I'm just giving people ideas of people that don't watch college basketball, but they might lose him now because of everything that's going on. But Dante DiVincenzo, they pretty much again Brandon Podziemski. So he's pretty much a Dante DiVincenzo type of guy. Glue guy that can be a playmaker, but he's very tall. Can run the one, play the two. And he's at 6'5", Santa Clara Lineage, a great dude. Still young as well. He's only a sophomore, but he can do those things Dante DiVincenzo did for Golden State as well. And it's gonna be interesting too, like going back to the Trace Jackson Davis thing, having Cliff there now.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean.
You know what? I'm gonna save my comment for later because we're gonna get into that later.